Hi everybody, Dan Illman, Matt Bernie are kicking off the late pick 4 at Santa Anita on Saturday with race number 6, the $75,000 Mizdirection Stakes, going 5 furlongs on the turf for fillies and mares. Good deal going on for DRF Bet subscribers. Deposit 100, bet with 250. Learn more at bets.drf.com. Let's meet the ladies getting set to go in the Mizdirection. Matt, this race was originally scheduled for 6.5 furlongs going down the hill. They're now running it at 5 furlongs on the turf. I wonder if this affects the plans of some of the horsemen, especially the ones cutting back in distance.
Well, the complexion changes entirely because there are some of these girls that are much better suited at 6.5 than they are at 5/8 of a mile. You can see that based on how some of them have run at 5/8 at Del Mar in the past, as opposed to the 6.5 down the hillside turf course. So I think that's an added layer to this race. Also, you know, we've talked about it in the past. Speed going down the hill doesn't necessarily translate the same as speed going 5/8 of a mile, simply because I don't want to say you have a running start going down the hill, but it's going downhill. So inherently, you're just going to go faster. I think there are a number of, it's only a 6-horse field, but I do find it a little bit interesting.
Slight morning line favorites, the 5 Go On Mary, who certainly seems to prefer the 5 furlong configuration than the down the hill 6.5. And she was just put in a very tough spot in her most recent effort in against the boys. Some quality ones at that, involved in a speed duel right from the get-go. I didn't like that she failed to change leads in the stretch, but maybe that was a sign for Doug O'Neill to give her a break, and give her a break he did. He's coming off a layoff with this mare, and she should be fast out of the gate.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, if I'm Bejarano, I think you have one way to go. You try to clear this field. It feels like in these 5/8 turf sprints, there haven't been a ton of them at Santa Anita, but it feels like you'd rather be forward than trying to come from way out of it and close. But I suppose that's how it goes for any 5/8 turf sprint. The lead change thing, I agree with you, a little bit of a concern, but there's a part of me that says if you're going to do it, just do it as you're going absolutely, bottoming out, going full throttle, just saying, you know what, there's not enough time for anybody to really worry about lead changes. Just go. I think you try to clear.
Timeform US believes that painting corners could also be involved in the pace scenario. She opened up a giant lead going down the hill in the center to Ken Maddie. Boy, she went fast. 20-4, 42-1. She still had a clear lead, but she was on fumes the final 1/8 of a mile, and it set up perfectly for Storm the Hill. Last time out, they were a little bit more patient with her in the Wishing Well, and she ran into Belvoir Bay, who's a very good turf filly at the moment, and the 6th place horse came back to run 3rd with a 92 buyer in the Grade 3 Santa Ana. I think that Wishing Well's a little bit better than it looks on paper. I expect Joe Talamo to be more aggressive this time around, and she seems equally proficient at the 5 and 6.5.
Yeah, I don't think there's a giant discrepancy between those two distances for her. It'll be interesting to see from a running style standpoint if a horse like Go On Mary is just absolutely intent on going. Do they run the risk of getting into a prolonged pace duel? And I say prolonged, there's only so much time going 5/8, but I do wonder if that's going to be an interesting sort of side plot to watch.
I think one of the mares that was a little disappointed that this race was shortened to 5 was Algorithmic, who reeled off 4 consecutive victories going down the hill in 2017. She really hasn't come back to that form. She has had her share of problems which have necessitated long layoffs, and her most recent start was her first start off a long layoff. She showed brief speed and tired. It was a good prep, but I don't know if she has the speed at 5 to go with some of these.
No, she is one of those horses that 6.5 really would have been more beneficial than 5 furlongs. My bigger concern with her, I mean, the distance is certainly a concern, but I just don't even know if she can run anymore to the level that she needs to in order to win a race like this.
Gliding By was entered for the 62.5 tag last time out on February the 18th. She saved ground, but it looked like she was in a lot of trouble turning into the stretch. She was stymied when she tried to come up the rail, and Mario Gutierrez had to be very patient. But once this filly got to the outside late, she came with a really striking late run. Now, she beat a weak field that day, and these are much tougher horses, and that race was at 6.5. She's never been shorter than 6.5 in her entire career. This race just might come up too short for her.
That's the way I looked at it. I think she's best going longer, whether it's 6.5 down the hill or even 7 for a long turf sprints, a 1-turn mile kind of thing. This 5/8, I think she's just going to be outrun.
Mongolian Shopper seems capable at 5. I just wonder the form she's in right now. Last time out was her first start off the layoff. She showed brief speed against Belvoir Bay, fine, but her efforts prior to that, while okay, really weren't up to snuff. Go On Mary beating her back on August the 3rd at Del Mar.
I know you're going to look at the paper and it's going to probably suggest that maybe she's better at 6.5. I like her going shorter. The bigger problem here for me is what you alluded to. I just think her recent form leaves a lot to be desired.
Pick time for the Mizdirection Stakes at Santa Anita on Saturday. I'm just taking a little bit of a stab here with Poster Girl. Poster Girl, I think, has some ability. We look at that Senator Ken Matty on November the 3rd. That was the race where Painting Corners just opened up a gigantic lead. This horse, Poster Girl, was trying to move through down towards the inside, and she must have gotten checked hard 2 or 3 times, completely knocked her off stride, and she still came with a good run. Made you look forward to her seasonal debut in the Wishing Well, and then she missed the break and threw Mike Smith. Last time out, they stretched her out from 5 furlongs to 1.25 miles. She's pressing the pace. That distance is too far for her. I would have liked her a little better at 6.5, I have to admit. The 5 might be a little bit too tight for this horse, but I think there's something here.
No, I agree. I think she's a nice mare. I'm terrified of the distance.
Yeah.
I don't think this is necessarily her best. But I do like, this is the kind of move. I guess you can look at it and say, the Santa Ana was essentially her first start off the bench because she didn't do any running whatsoever in that 5/8 race. And that's been a move for her. Second off the bench, she's usually taken a big step forward. So maybe that's how it's going to work. We talk about the turn back in distance. 10 furlongs to 5 furlongs. I don't know if I've ever seen it before, but we'll take a shot here.
I hadn't seen the 5 to 10 stretch out in the past, and Matt Chu performed that one with this horse last time out. We'll see if she can overcome cutting back in distance. Go On Mary might very well just simply be the one to catch and beat.
I think she just clears off. At least that's the way I'd like her to be ridden. I want Bejarano to be aggressive, try to come and catch you. For me, it's 5-1 because those are the 2 that I think are probably going to be most forward.
I'm going 3-5. I like your horse as well. Go On Mary. We kick off the pick 4 with the $75,000 Mizdirection Stakes. Remember the offer for new DRF Bet subscribers. Deposit $100, bet with $250. DRF Bets, ready, set, bet. Approximate post time for the Mizdirection, 3:30 Pacific. Best of luck.